Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to do loads of little jobs around the city, lots of improvements and suggestions made by you, my wonderful subscribers. And the first of those is a challenge that I was set to create my own custom race car for my racetrack to join all the other ones. The 60053, 60256, which is that one and that one, and the 60113, and the 60406 most recently, the Cyber Beast sponsored one. But who could be the sponsor for this custom one, I ask you? Well, there's only one sensible sponsor that we haven't covered yet. Well, I say sensible. It's everyone's favourite energy drink, Vita Rush. So, quickly, to the building desk. Good. Well, I get given an awful lot of challenges on this channel, and there's no way I'd ever have time to do them all. But sometimes I get one that really excites me and gets my creative juices going straight away. And this was certainly one of those. Make a Vita Rush themed racer. Sounds ideal, doesn't it? So the very first thing I did was kind of search for all of the parts that would have the relevant logos on, not these two. And the best one of all that I managed to find was this one with Vita Rush Racing on the top. It's basically the roof of set 60218, the Desert Rally Racer from 2019. And I put that and loads of other ones like this cheese wedge slope piece onto a wanted list and just kind of, well, put it to one side for a moment because these things don't get any better by rushing them. But essentially, when I was doing the last brick haul that we just went through on Wednesday, I found absolutely loads of these parts in one store, namely 4 of these, which is, well, vital if that's what we're going to make as the main theme, but also loads of other ones which were kind of orange and green in their colouring, which also had different advertisers on, because you know these race cars, they basically have adverts on virtually every flat surface, don't they? So I wanted ones with an orange or a green sort of background to them, and yeah, there was absolutely loads to choose from. So I bought pretty much every combination so I could really cake it in stickers. And most of those came on the set 60146, the stunt truck from 2017, which is a set that I've got, but it's not going to be racing against these things. So I think the similarity in the number, 46, and all of the sponsors won't necessarily be a problem because, you know, when you've got something in real life like Red Bull Racing or something, they might have a Formula One car, but then they've also probably got a different type of car in a rally series or something like that as well. So I think we're good. So, yeah, basically I started with the standard base that a lot of these races are on and, well, worked up from there. So I wanted to make it very different from all of the other ones, but using lime and orange would definitely make that very easy to achieve effectively. And the first sticker I wanted was with the number on for the door. And I've put this very much towards one side because when the build is complete, that end gets completely blocked off anyway. So this is the first 46 from that stunt truck. And essentially, I've done some sticker surgery and chopped off the entire top of that sticker. In fact, I've got the remainder here just in case I ever want to use some different branding. So basically, that came off that extreme part there. So I can use that somewhere else, maybe on a surf or ski or whatever types build later on, but this is the vital part that I needed, and I couldn't fit that entire sticker on as well as these big ones later on, so it was a good compromise, and that just really pops on that orange background. And I've got the other way around here to go on the other side, and oh yes, that looks great already, doesn't it? And then the next one was the advert for the smooth racing oil, because you wouldn't want lumpy racing oil, would you? That would clog up your engine, no bother. Yeah, smooth racing oil is the choice of champions. So I've got that on these lime wheel arches, and I think one of my biggest problems wasn't getting the sticker parts, actually. It was getting things like these wheel arches in lime and some other parts as a normal arch later, and sort of wedge piece in orange as well. They were quite hard to get because, well, they're kind of wacky colours and they're from some obscure Friends set or polybag or something like that. But anyway, there's another sponsor on there. And then if we focus on the back, we need the sort of rear wing hanging off. So I'm using one of these sort of, well, I don't know what you call those, modified bricks with a kind of zigzag in it. And they always have a glowing red exhaust, don't they, as they're flying around the track. So that can go on to there. Oh, I think I've done these too far forward, back rather. There we go. That's where they should be. Yes, that's what they're cut off by, because we need a bit more space to get in the firewall in between the driver and the engine. We've got a jumper plate on there, which will be very important later. And there's that orange kind of wedge thing with a tile on and some cheese wedge pieces just to sort of smooth it all out and get the transitions all right. And that fits in there, tapering back very nicely. And then we get to our first Vita Rush Racing sticker. And it turned out I didn't have to do any surgery on this at all. I basically just turned it that way and stuck it onto a panel piece. And there was even enough room at the top left for another 46, which came off, the same set, but the sort of front quarter of that on the bonnet, or the hood, depending on whatever you call it. So that looks absolutely great. So I'm going to put that on there and that on this side. I mean, it looks, because they're almost the right dimensions, you can kind of see the edge of the stickers there, but it almost looks from a distance like they are made to measure, and that is actually one sticker, but yeah, it's actually two. So you can get really quite creative with this, and that's partially why when I got all these pieces, I was quite excited to get going, because I really wanted to see them all in position. So there is our huge, let's get it right, rear wing. Keep us on the roads. And then one of the other hard bits to get was this arch. Very common piece, but not in lime, it's not. And that can go on that jumper position and the exhaust bit and go over there. Oh, yes. That looks absolutely great, doesn't it? I had great fun designing this as well in Lego Digital Designer. Essentially, I went through about 20 different iterations, all just sort of slightly different. Because with all those other ones that already exist, it turns out you end up inadvertently copying one or another, or even creating something that you thought was unique that ends up being practically identical to one that already existed. So I had to sort of go back to the drawing board a couple of times and say that bit looks a bit too similar to one that already is there. So not that they'll all be right next to each other, but anyway, so more wheel arches and then some headlights with a bit of the front wing sort of hanging off the front. So that one must be on that side. And I don't think this is the most robust build, I must say. Perhaps if it was an official Lego one, it would need strengthening for, so it could withstand the whacking test. We could always try that at the very end. But we've got a bracket piece there and grill and so on. So that sort of goes in there. And then we've got I should have done that afterwards. Sorry. Pull that back out, because we've got the kind of splitter on the bottom front there, and that's where I put a 46. So that actually came next to one of these. It was on the side doors basically of the original thing. Oh, that's not touched that well. Put that back on, and that just manages with a bit more surgery. I had to chop a little bit off the top and the bottom to fit into that little slot in there. So that goes in there, and then this can go on top of it there, and it starts to get its strength back, but that looks pretty cool if you ask me. Very nice. So I just need pushing down a little bit more. Yes, yes. And then why not have the other one of those door stickers, since I had it, put on a tile up here, so that can go there. And this is where I thought I'd actually incorporate the cheese wedge piece and put that in there. Very nice indeed. So we've got a splash of white there, a splash of white there, and we will have a splash of white for the roof as well. So we need a driver, and who better than somebody in the Vita Rush racing outfit, of course. And I've given him this scary face because another one of your ideas, which I'm not going to do today, but I might do in the future, was have one of these cars kind of launching over the marina like it had missed a turning and gone over the sort of banking on the edge of the corner and gone airborne. So if that is done in the future, well, we'll need a very, very scared face. And I know that the speed that these go around the track anyway, I would be terrified if I were driving. So I think it's quite appropriate. So there's our windscreen. And then a little bit more sticker surgery with the third of the 4 stickers for the racing. And I've just chopped the corners off the front of that so it fits in a bit better. Covered up some studs with some more tiles. And now that looks to me like an official Lego set, and a pretty good one if you ask me. I really like that. I mean, the 46s on the side, slightly bigger font and slightly smaller font. The Vita Rush there, and there. All look absolutely amazing. Some additional sponsors on those wheel arches, something on the front there. But there's just one thing missing, and this is the absolute pièce de résistance, if you ask me. The absolute crowning glory. And when I thought of this, I just couldn't stop laughing because it's so brilliant. And it's a light bar but with lights that are decorated to look like oranges. So I just thought, yes, that has to happen. Let's put that on and see how it looks. And those are the Vita Rush themed orange slices. So how about that for a challenge well done? I think you'll agree that I have passed the test and done a masterpiece of creative sticker surgery and creative building. I mean, it's only a racing car, but golly, that is pretty. And those lights, yes, yes, I think that is amazing. So thank you very much, whoever you are, for the challenge. That is your Bedoing. This is going into the city, where I think it'll look absolutely amazing. We'll have to make sure it's on that sort of front straight or something so we can see it from every angle. I just think it is beautiful. And the colours, wow, they really pop, don't they? So that is absolutely amazing. Cool. Well, while we're talking about the last brick call, I just thought I'd show you some other stickers that I moved using my patented hot tea technique. And some were these spy drone ones, just to make some interesting cargo, basically for my cargo yard. I thought I could use them on a 2x4 tile with a 1x4 hazard stripe on a normal crate, times 3, just have these sort of stacked up somewhere. And they're very interesting indeed. They came from the 8114 Chameleon Hunter set, Exoforce, from 2008, if you're interested. And another one I did was just to create some variation in these sort of big reels that go on the back of my train. Somebody suggested that I did one in a different colour. And wow, it looks really good, doesn't it? In blue, especially next to green, like there's sort of 2 different types or something like that. So that will be going on the back of a train, which you probably won't see for a while. But I thought I'd show it while I was here because I just transferred all the stickers. So that was one of your ideas as well. So that means another Bedoing. So brilliant. Cool. Right. Well, now back to the city to put all of this in place and, well, see what we can do next of your ideas. Yay, we made 38,000 subscribers. Whoop whoop. But I want 39,000 and then, well, I want 40,000 after that. So if you want to see the outcome of the rest of these subscriber ideas and maybe see if yours is one of them, then, well, you need to hit the subscribe button, don't you? I mean, why wouldn't you? Help the channel out for free. Give it a click. Well, that's a bit of a dangerous place to stand, but anyway, here is our new racer in position with a little piece underneath it to give it that nice satisfying lean as it goes around the corner. And yeah, the Cyber Beast car is hot on its tail, but wow, that really pops. It is so bright, so colourful and instantly recognisable with all of that branding all over it. So I absolutely adore that idea. You can see why now I was excited about it. And now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars going around the track. And that's a bit more populated as well. So I really like that idea. Yeah, that looks absolutely great. What a fantastic challenge. Now, another challenge that I had was to have a shark with a fin sticking out of the top of the water as part of my sort of undersea profile, which I have going along all of my water's edge. And I thought that was a good idea as well, except it'd be very hard with a regular shark because essentially, well, the fin's not that long. So I got my thinking hat on, and a while back somebody sent in the 3-in-1 set, 31088 Deep Sea Creatures, and well, I thought I could use the brick-built shark from that to create this wonderful scene. Well, we've got an absolutely huge shark now chasing the diver, and I made a few minor changes to it just so it fit in that profile, and swapped out a few of these sort of greys and blacks for whites and dark blues just to make it a little more colour consistent. And now that diver really is in trouble, isn't he? I mean, if you were worried when you had that after you, you'd be absolutely panicking when you've got this thing after you. So yeah, there we have the fin breaching the surface of the water, and I've done a couple of little ripples, if you can see that, in the surface of the water, but it's very smooth and gliding through, so it doesn't create much of a wake at all. But that is a great scene, and we'll be able to see that from absolutely everywhere on this side of the bridge sort of scene in the standing hole, and it looks absolutely amazing because I won't be crawling directly underneath this bit like I did in the old city, so I won't be knocking that off. So that works really well. So there is another challenge accepted and achieved, I think. So a bedoing to the person who suggested that, and also a bedoing to the person who suggested that I add some little 1x1s as bubbles from the diver. I just think that adds to the scene a great deal as well. So that person is breathing a bit heavily at the moment for obvious reasons. And yeah, all those bubbles are coming out onto the surface. So a bedoing to you as well. And I've just started playing around with all of my sort of splash pieces that I've been getting on recent brick calls, just to eventually have all of the motion and some waves in the sea. It's quite time consuming to do, but yeah, I've just got a few minor splashes coming out of this donated police jet ski, and I think it's starting to look really good. So you can imagine when something's really crashing, it'll be much more of a wake. So I think he's going quite slowly. If he was charging along, I think it'd be like 3 times as long as all the rest. But yeah, that is something that I've got under development as well. Yeah, I love that shark. It's a real kind of surprise when you come into the standing hole that you can't see from the main viewing angle. And I love having little surprises spread all over the city. In addition to the race car, I have put in position the cargo wagon with those electric reels on, and the cargo in the harbour, though that is a bit messy at the moment, that whole area. But the next area I want to work on is Old Market Square, because I had a few comments from you to make it even better from last time. And the fact that it's a bit smaller and a bit more sort of squished in than it was before has prompted the suggestion that maybe I should extend the tan coloured area that makes it a little bit different from all the other sort of grey pavements and go right up to the edges of the steps, or maybe even beyond. Now, I don't know how many tiles I've got, need a few jumpers as well, but that is definitely a good idea because it does look a bit squished in. And why does that different colour kind of end at the statues? I don't really know. So yeah, we're going to pull all of this up and then put it back down again in a different colour, see how that looks. And while we're there, the fact that we had a ramp at one end and steps at the other didn't seem to make a lot of sense. So I've got another one of those ramp pieces that I can put into that scene as well. And then that will tidy that up. So yeah, I'm going to get on with doing that. Wow, I absolutely love my subscribers. They always come up with really good ideas, sometimes complicated, sometimes very simple, to improve my city. I think Market Square had the danger of looking a bit like an afterthought before, when that tan area was kind of squidged in, squeezed between everything else and looking rather small and puny. But just making it a lot bigger has made it look a lot better. Absolutely love it. The second ramp as well makes it look a lot more symmetrical, which is always a good thing in my mind, and a lot more accessible for those on mobility scooters like this chap. So yeah, both of those ideas were fantastic, and both of them get a shiny bedoing. Shall I give you one each? Ooh, why not? Feeling generous. And you made me work for that one actually quite a lot, because I didn't have anywhere near enough 2x2 tiles in tan. But mysteriously, I have filled the area, and that's because I liberated an absolute load from all of the stanchions along the back there for the monorail. Which wasn't easy to reach, so I needed Mrs. Hood's aerobic step and all the rest of it. And then they needed replacing with 2x4 tiles, which I liberated from the underside of the harbour master's office. So yeah, it hasn't been a simple process just to get this relatively simple change done, but I think it was worth the effort. I'm definitely going to take a break now. But while I was leaning over everything, I pulled out one of the facades, basically the red, very skinny one that was here, and that's because in the recent brick haul I also got loads more of those panel pieces to make it a lot bigger. So that is what I'm going to extend next. But yeah, that is greatly improved. I like it a lot. You know, as soon as I finished that last take, I thought, why did I do it all in a block colour? Why didn't I add a bit more patterning in dark tan? So, yeah, I've done that now. And then I bet you were going to write that as a suggestion in the comments section, weren't you? And, well, I've beaten you to it, so you're not getting a bedoing now for that one. Anyway, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? Yeah, a bit of variety rather than just one colour. And that means, well, I've got loads of 2x2 tiles now in tan for whatever the next job is. But the next job today is to consider another of your amendments, and it was a suggestion to have a vehicle that had been on the boat ramp, losing its handbrake or something, and rolling all the way back into the water. And well, there isn't enough room for that where the little inflatable is at the moment. So it would kind of be a little, well, facade, I suppose, with a cut-off with the guillotine that represents the standing hole where I am now, chopping off the rest of the vehicle and just having the very front of it showing. So I don't know, I thought that sounded really interesting, but I thought it might look a bit odd. So I decided to mock it up in studio. And as you can see, it looks rather quite good from the front, with a man sort of panicking and running after the vehicle, which has already gone splosh into the drink. But the problem is, when you actually look at the other side of things, the side that will be most visible from us, I don't know, it looks a bit more odd, a bit like a sort of, what on earth is that thing? Yeah, it's the cab of a truck that's rolled into the water with a big splash. I don't know, is it obvious enough? So I thought rather than do it, I'd get your idea as to whether I should do it or not, and we can do that at a future video down here at the bottom. So that is the space where it'll go. Yeah, we really haven't got much depth to play with. But yeah, then I could attach a figure sort of halfway down the slope running after it, well, in a futile attempt to stop it getting ruined. But yeah, I do like that idea. It's just, does it look good enough? Does it look a bit weird from the main angle that we see it at? I think if we were looking at it from the top of the ramp, it would be a really good view, but you're really not going to be able to see that without sort of craning over it like this. So anyway, no bedoing for that one yet. Next job is to do the facade. So yeah, I've done that, and that is because I got an absolute load of these panels, 3 too many as it turned out, for the amount of bricks that I had of the other types that I needed, to make the building that was kind of, well, a little bit wider than this, but not much, that was very tall and thin over there, much bigger. And there it is, a little bit taller and twice the width. And well, before I was going for a very skinny tower because I thought it might sort of, with perspective, look like it was a long way away, but it really didn't. It looked more like it was just a very skinny tower. So now it looks a lot better proportioned. And I'm going to have these sort of bigger ones, which is what this one is, because look, it's about halfway to the distance to the moon. Probably more than halfway the distance to the moon, which is still standing, or rather holding on for dear life, on the wall. You'll be glad to hear. Yeah, I'm going to use these sort of more boring, repetitive, taller ones for going in sections like sort of behind this run, because, well, you can't really see the bottom at all, and it doesn't really matter that they're partially concealed. And then the more interesting ones, like this one, which you're like, oh, well, where's the interesting bit? The interesting bit's right there at the bottom, and you can't really see it. So that is one that needs pulling out and putting somewhere better. Probably this one as well, the brown one, with the sort of Art Deco sort of bits and bobs. And definitely the building site over here need moving, and they'll end up, well, not exactly there, because that's where Major Oak Hill will be, but sort of, I don't know, another part of the room, or definitely near to one of the crossings where we can see it a bit better, like that, where that hotel is. So everything's just a lot more visible and viewable where it can be, and where you want it to be, and a lot more hidden where you don't really mind. So I think this whole run along here in the end will be really tall buildings that represent a real sort of downtown area off into the distance. And then the more interesting ones will be, well, elsewhere in the room, because we've got a lot of wall space now to fill. So that is the plan. And with that in mind, these are all very movable. Because I've put them on nice bases now, so I can really just lift them all up and shuffle them around. Every time I do something new, I can just reorder them. And I've still got my drone kind of coming off that. It's a delivery drone with a package on the bottom to it there. And I've got a few things in the windows, just the ones that I had before, the goldfish bowl, a man and a lava lamp and a parrot and so on. So I'll probably add a few more things to that at some point, but that can go back into position. All right, well, here it is in position against the wall, looking a lot better than it did before when it was very skinny and very bright and interesting, I think. That repeating panel doesn't matter at all. I think it looks absolutely perfect. Very cost-effective way of doing it as well. I realise it's a similar shape to the one next to it, but I can always separate those two from each other. if I want to, when I've got the other ones that I'm collecting bricks for at the moment on my brick walls, when I've got those produced. I think there's 3 or is it 4 more large facades. So yeah, this whole area will be absolutely chock-a-block with them, and there's more interesting ones liberated. So yeah, looking forward to that. So I'm not too worried about the ordering of them all at the moment when I've only got half the things to consider. But yeah, that's looking really good. I am absolutely motoring through a lot of the parts I've got recently in today's video. Some other ones, though, have been to amend and augment my lovely red girder bridge made with Duplo girder pieces. And I've taken another one of your ideas, which was to add cross beams. You didn't like the fact that the pieces were sort of standing up, kind of unheld, kind of like the Center 2 are, and you wanted some cross beams, which I needed to get some special 2x12 bricks for, so it'd actually reach across the distance. So I think a few people suggested that idea. So if you were one of those, here is your bedoing. But basically, I use this as an opportunity to do a few different amendments to the bridge because, wow, that's going to be absolutely amazing, isn't it? Because it wasn't long enough, essentially. So just as a placeholder, I've put the lighthouse on one side of the opening of Brick Bay and the harbour master on the other. But essentially, there's going to be 2 bridges across the opening of Brick Bay. One for the cargo line on the outside, which will be the blue rail bridge, and this one with the red Duplo pieces for the passenger line. And because the blue rail bridge is using single rail pieces, they're quite inflexible because they're all 16 long. So essentially, if they were going to be the same length as each other, then it wasn't really going to work because these are 24 studs long, so 24, 48, 72, and that's not divisible by 16. The nearest number would be 80. So I had to put kind of 2 4-long spaces in between the girder pieces to make it the same length. And I think it makes it look better, actually. Basically, I've got these small sort of pedestrian-saving fence pieces in there, and only had 2 of those. So basically, the other side is just missing one. I'll have those on a future haul. But I just think that really adds to the size and shape of it and makes it a lot more impressive. So you can imagine when everything's in and we've got those 2 buildings sort of put in, maybe a bit nearer to us than they are right now, it's going to look absolutely fantastic. I've also used it as an opportunity to actually widen the gap between these stanchions as well, because before we had this train almost touching both sides at the same time, and although it had good peril, I thought it's just going to create me problems later on. And with the availability of these 2x12 bricks at the top linking the 2 sides together, I thought that basically I would increase the distance between the 2 sides by 2 studs. So in doing that, I've created this sort of extra lip here of just red tiles along the bottom. I'm also missing a couple of those you can see in the middle. But I think it looks a lot better. And the fact that it's going to be more kind of future-proof or less accident-prone, I think is a good thing. So before I had these kind of Duplo cushion pieces on the tops of all the things, and I could put 2 on the middle ones, but if I'm going to have a few studs spare on this side, I figured it looked better and more industrial if there's a few showing all over the place. So I kind of like that. I tried doing a central stanchion because I bought about 6 of these long bricks actually, but it just didn't look that good. So I'm going to have it at the 2 ends, and well, tell me what you think of that. I think it looks rather good. So I'm very happy with that improvement. So yeah, it means also that I've increased the size and depth of the stanchions on the bottom. So they're sort of more oblong. Don't know how that is to show you, but yeah, they look very sturdy indeed. So it'll be slightly higher when it's mounted on blue plates with all the tiles around it, and we can have a little bit of sort of waves and things like that on this side kind of crashing into it. So we've got relatively still water on this side and relatively wavy water on the other side. So that is the plan. But yeah, I think that's good because one of my main goals is to get these trains running again. It's going to be a long while, but getting this section done will be great. So I think not today because I don't have enough time, but what I'd like to do next is probably take it from about here to up to about here with rock face, kind of like I did before, have jagged and rugged rocks, kind of linking, well, eventually up with the actual lighthouse rock. And I'm still not sure about this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lair, because I mean the reason why I like it there is because I'm planning to put the Italian restaurant back up here, and it's fun to have them being able to pop up and sort of do the scene where he's buying pizza through the manhole cover. So yeah, I suppose I could move both of them somewhere else, but I've got to think about that a bit more. But if I do move it, I could start the rock face from way back here and make it sort of jagged rocks with little caves for the swamp monster and stuff like that in again, because I really like that little scene. But it shows how much more space we've got for some water action and boats and probably all my windsurfers, which I've just got in a heap here. That's not even all of them either. Just to have a really sort of pretty scene with them all sort of sailing by or something like that, and maybe somebody creating a massive wake, despite the signs on the side of the harbour master's office not to do that. So yeah. Tell me what you think of that new bridge. Tell me if you like these new cross beams. I think they're a great improvement, and I can't wait to have the train beezing along here at high speed, but we aren't quite there yet. One more subscriber idea I really like the sound of, and that was adding the super secret police to the moon. So I've got a pair of them there with slightly different uniform, because they've got their spacesuit trousers on and their white gas tanks so they can breathe, always helps, but the regular SSP helmets and tops and so on, and they're flashing their badge, showing their jurisdiction over this area as well. There's absolutely no escaping them, so maybe I should give them a scooter or something like that. Ideas for taking this little concept a little bit further would be appreciated in the comments section. I've also had ideas from people to put some classic space builds, maybe one of those space hoppers or something like that somewhere else on the moon. We'll have it overfilled in no time. But yeah, I do like the idea that there is absolutely no escaping the super secret police. Very cool indeed. So if that was your suggestion, here is your bedoing. Wonderful. We've given out absolutely loads today, haven't we? And then I was thinking more on this bridge after doing the last take, and thinking, yeah, the centre one does look a bit naked and needs a crossbeam. But the problem is, it looks kind of congested if you have two, and the fact that we've got 4 great big Duplo bobbles to contend with means you can't put one in the middle unless you raise it up a bit. But I figure that looks a bit rubbish as well, so I don't really like that. So the only alternative is to have a double width one. But it turns out I've got one of these huge, 4 by 12 bricks. So that's also from yesteryear. And I figured if I tiled the top of that, actually that looks very much in scale with the other ones, doesn't it? And what I quite like about that is we've got 2 Duplo bubbles kind of sticking out at each of these ends, but then also either side of the central one. So I've got nowhere near enough tiles to do this. In fact, I've got no more red tiles, which is why I've used these jumper ones for now, just to hold the pieces together. But if I just coat that completely flat with tiles like I have the other ones, I don't think we need lights in the middle, then I think that'll look even better. So yeah, what do we think of that? Oh, I think I've already answered my own question. I much prefer that. I think that looks absolutely great. So I'll put some red tiles on my wanted list, and then I think Bridge Mark II, oh, that is beautiful, isn't it, will be done. Brilliant. Cool. Well, have you seen the time? I need to get editing, otherwise we won't meet the deadline for you actually seeing this video. But I think we've made a great deal of progress today. We've done our Bridge Mark II of the Duplo bridge, which looks absolutely amazing, and is ready for us to do some rock work to incorporate it in, I think, next time. I think the idea of having the Harbour Master on one side and the lighthouse on the other is going to look very beautiful indeed in due course. Very congested perhaps when we've got the second rail bridge in there as well. But anyway, we've got loads of space on this side at least. We did loads and loads of subscriber suggestions, didn't we? Like the shark and the bubbles and all the rest of it. The main one being, of course, our new Vita Rush Racer, which I absolutely love. And if you don't think that looks brilliant with those oranges as lights on the front, then, well, I don't know what to say. This is the wrong channel for you, because that is absolute gold, if you ask me. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks so much for these suggestions. And then, of course, we did Market Square, which looks a lot better with that colouring. That's why I really like having all of you subscribers, not only watching, but giving me some tips to make my ideas even better. And then, you know, you even give me ideas to make things like our SSP on the moon, which is very small, but very, very welcome. And our bigger facade as well. I think that's pretty much everything. Well, the city is coming on brilliantly, and do let me know what you think about that sort of mock-up I had for the truck that's run into the water at the bottom of the boat ramp with the splash effects and so on. That would be appreciated. Pretty soon I'm going to be bringing the next batch of stuff down from the old Lego room to start populating these sides and even get some more tables in. I want to kind of leave the walkway for as long as possible because, well, it's much easier than crawling in every 2 minutes, especially when all of my parts are in these sort of boxes outside and all of the destinations on the inside. So, yeah. We'll make some serious progress there. We've got the mock here to do very soon. That's what's in that box. And then, well, there's other mocks to do, facades, all sorts of stuff that are coming from all of our brick calls. So there's plenty to go at. But do let me know if you prefer these city work videos or if you want some big mocks coming up sooner rather than later. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. So next time, yeah, you'll be letting me know what you want to do, but we'll also be having a haul on Wednesday, as per usual. These bricks have got to come from somewhere. But until then, see you! Yeah, love those bubbles. And the new bridge top. Tiles, please.